Hey everybody, thanks for coming back. And if this is your first time to the channel, thanks for checking it out, and I hope you get something out of it. Now this is a map or a plot that a lot of people haven't seen before or rarely. It's called a ridgeline plot or a joy plot. Now, it's called a joy plot. That's kind of a nickname because it's the album cover from a band called Joy Division. And don't worry, I hadn't heard of them before, and I checked them out, and not exactly my genre, but that's all right. I think the album cover is very cool. Now, the thing about this cover, though, this is not topography. This is the signals from a quasar, pulsar, one of those space things. Now, I'm from Alaska, and there's a really beautiful national park up there called Kenai Fjords National Park, as you can see in all of these pictures. So I thought, let's do something with Kenai Fjords National Park, something different. Let's see if we can make a ridgeline plot of Kenai Fjords National Park. This is Carto-Madness. Okay, starting with a fresh copy of ArcPRO, I've added a couple things. Over here I have put Ridgeline Plot as a polyline feature class and added it to the map. Also, I've gone over here and added USA Parks and Terrain from the bottomless pit of cool data, also known as the Living Atlas. So let's get going. First thing we want to do is we want to go up here and insert a polygon map note. Now this is going to provide kind of a cookie cutter later for some data. So let's go ahead and add a rectangle and start it up here. About there, and if we right click and say direction and say directly west 90.0000, and down here and say okay, here's our good envelope right there. We'll take this right there. Okay, so now we'll turn on our terrain, and now we want to clip out that piece that goes around the park. So we'll say export and give it a name. We'll say Kenai DM, and we'll save it right there. And we'll go through and say same as US National Parks as far as our coordinate system, and our clipping envelope is our polygon notes. And as you remember from Crater Lake, you can only have 5,000 columns and 5,000 rows, so we'd switch that to 49.99. Both cases, and our red boxes go away. Like that. And I think we're good. Let's export. And once we export that, we will see it's been added to our table of contents. Let's turn off our terrain. And this takes a minute to draw, so we'll say save. And we'll just assume it's there. It'll show up in a minute. But what we'll do is we'll go into our symbology and change our stretch type from min-max to standard deviation. That seems to be kind of better for this application. So let's go ahead and clear that selection, and now we have to create a polyline, a 2-point polyline. So let's go up here and about there. Yeah, because we want these lines to be fully and wholly within the existing DEM, or else it won't pick up the elevations. So we'll go just inside, and that looks pretty good. And so now let's go ahead and want to get our toolbox and use the Densify tool. In other words, we're going to put a whole bunch of vertexes along this line, and we're going to say put a vertex every 50 meters. Pretty dense. So we'll go ahead and run that. And when we double check edit vertices, yeah, there's a ton of vertices along there, so that's great. Perfect. Okay. So now let's go down here, and we want to copy parallel. So now that we got one line with a bunch of vertices, let's copy it every 1.5 kilometers And we'll say 100 repetitions for now. We don't need that many, but we will. And we'll say copy. And once it copies those, we have a bunch of them. Let's go ahead and get rid of the ones we don't need. In other words, the ones that do not fall within the DEM. So I just select everything, including that last one, just to make sure. Delete that. And there you go. Computer's really slow these days. So let's select this top one just to make sure, because that might fall outside of our DEM. Okay, good. Now let's do our set a bookmark there. There you go. Did I say set a bookmark? I mean go to a bookmark. Okay. So now we have all of these lines, and what we need to do is go back to our toolbox and say update feature Z. So in other words, it will go across the DEM, and every time it finds a vertex, it will grab the elevation from the DEM and assign it to that vertex. And that's done. So we go to our profile tool now and create a profile on each one of those lines. So let's put our plot lines in and a fine resolution. And we can say run. And this takes a long time. So I shortened it up for us. And now we have output profile lines. Cool. So let's go ahead and convert this to now a local scene. And here we are in our local scene. And let's go ahead and turn off our ground layer, and we want to make a copy of our Kenai DEM and paste it, and then let's drag that underneath our surface, our ground. So now our map is only aware of our Kenai DEM as a surface. So we can turn them off at this point. It knows. Turn off our polygon nodes as well, and our Ridgefield plot lines, because now all we want is our profile lines. So let's go ahead and make the magic happen and take a look. And if we rotate and zoom, look at that. Ooh, nice. Yeah. Okay, now let's clean this up a little bit. Go up here to our map and right click on the map, and we'll give that a background color of black.
Something about this that's so black, it's like, how much more black could this be? And the answer is none more black.
And then we'll go down here to our ground level, and we'll turn that to no color. And now we're getting somewhere. And like a true ridgeline / joy plot, let's make these white. Okay. Very cool. All right. Pan and zoom and take a look at our beautiful ridgeline plot. I'll keep the parks layer on underneath it, because this is about Kenai Fjords National Park. And once I do a little bit of cleanup and a few surrounds, we have a very cool map of the Kenai Fjords National Park. I think this is good enough to submit to a map gallery somewhere, maybe in Kentucky at NACIS. Thanks for checking it out. See you next time. Like, subscribe,